You know, Jake, we talk a lot about the power of the media and the power of the pen, power of the camera. Power of public relations and marketing is also a good lick. So, with no further ado, I didn't plan this, believe me.
No, I did though.
Oh, good.
But if you haven't seen it, Greg's had a book it's called Border Ball, and
a tree grows in Harlingen. No.
It's the history of high school football in the Rio Grande Valley. For all of you that wonder,
who was what when.
Yeah, Greg already has all in a book. You've seen some of the best, the best running backs in the Valley. Bradley, Meshach, just the ones that I've gotten to see before
Two of the best. You look at each decade and there are a couple of guys. So we're talking about Trevor Speights, 4,000 yards. He's on pace to break Bradley's record, 7,803. I think it was 7,803. Meshach being second. There are a couple of guys that played a while back, and you guys in the Lower Valley remember. Tony Ellis was a guy at Brownsville, had a slick, tall glider of a Greyhound. He ended up playing for UT and ran back kicks for them for one season. He had a ton of yards one year. 94 was the year. Maurice Hunter. Now, here's the thing. I look at all the backs that have ever played in the Valley that I can, that I've seen and that I've read about, and that would be everybody. I don't know if there's a better one than Mo Hunter. He was a state player of the year in 94. He had 41 touchdowns. He rushed for 2,500 yards, and that was against quality competition. So, here's the thing. Mo was about 5'8" or 9, about 185, and just built like a weightlifter, and he was very fast. He would explode through people and then go to the house. I watched him run for 366 yards against Weslaco. It's in that book. And so when I look at the kid, I think, wow, he's starting to be tall and lean like Tony Ellis. And he's got elusiveness like guys like Fred Laredo from Edcouts, who was a 2,000-yard back. But, man, he also is running with more power. I'm seeing him run over people, too. And that's when he starts to remind me of Mo Hunter. You look up Maurice Hunter. He didn't make it in college, but he was one of the best backs in the history of the state. I say, not that he was maybe the best in the Valley, but he was top 3 or 4. So that's the company the kid has. Now, and that's not even to mention some of the old guys. There was a guy named Jim Helms. You remember Coach Helms? Unbelievable running back for the 61 Greyhounds. He went to UT on a scholarship.
Helms?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Helms was an amazing running back, dog. He was incredible. Yeah. UT, all the schools in the country would come down to San Benito to see them. They went 3 deep in the playoffs that year, lost to Port Lavaca, 22-15. But Helms was an amazing running back. You can't count Bobby Lackey. He was quarterback. Jim Hudson was an amazing player down here. He played some quarterback. He wasn't really a running back. But there were some guys in the 50s. The Edinburgh guys will tell you, Carlos Esquivel, 1953. They went to the state semifinals that year. Esquivel played for Texas A&M. He was a good ball player. Him and they had a quarterback that went up there to play too. So there are some guys that, and here's the last name I'm going to mention. I can get into this. We'll be here forever. Bob Brumley played in the 30s at Edinburgh High. And of course, I'm not being a homer. This guy was for real. He went to Rice and made all-conference, and then he transferred to OU, led the Big 6, which was the forerunner of the Big 8, which became part of the Big 12. Bob Brumley was an amazing guy. We inducted him in the Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. So if you're talking about Trevor Speights and the company of these 8 or 10 guys, Fred got us at Donna. Alfredo Lugo in the 60s at Donna. So, there's only about 10 or 15 backs that I would even put in the conversation. Speights is headed toward the top. He really is.
And he's only a junior.
Only a junior.
Have you seen anybody, since Bradley, at this moment in time for him, as a junior, entering his juniors.
Bradley and Meshach played as freshmen. Meshach was a slot receiver, but he ended up carrying the ball a bunch on that end around. Bradley he had 1,000 as a freshman. That's why when the kid had 1,000 as a freshman, I'm like, oh Lord, it's Bradley again. The same team, not that far along. I will tell you this, he's on his way. If there's anything that I'd like to see him get better at doing is nothing, because he's one of the best backs in the state, and he's going to break the Valley all-time rushing record, and he's just an amazing player. Yeah, I don't know where he's going to go to school. They say Arizona. Who knows? That may change. But historically, when you look at the book and the list, dang, man, you don't see a guy like that come around but once in a generation. And it's amazing to have him here. And, from what I understand, he's a quality kid in the classroom. He's doing his thing. He's going to be successful. And so, just like Bradley was. Bradley was an outstanding citizen. That guy was an outstanding Christian as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So.
Well, that's a good place to take a quick break, but...
yeah, quick break. I got to a little bit exercised over the history here. I probably forgot some names.
And again, if you haven't bought the book yet, it's Border Ball, written by Greg Selwer. You can get it at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, I went to the bookstore today and I actually saw a copy or two on the shelf. So it's worth picking up. A lot of fun stories about the old days, and keep appraised, because the basketball book will be out sometime in the next 27 years. Anyway, let's take a break.